Hello, 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 and welcome to another live session. My name is Linda from ITTT, and you can find me on social media at Linda Goes East. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. Let me just see that everything's working. If you can see me and if you can hear me, please leave a comment. As always, you know the drill. And yeah, this is actually our last live session, or my last live session. We have another one on Tuesday for my colleague Lisa, but me, it's my last live session before Christmas, and so I wanted to get a little festive. This is my attempt at being festive, so yeah, that's what we're working with today. Yeah, if you can see me and hear me, please leave a comment. That'd be really, really awesome. Yay. Awesome, it starts. Yeah, hi. Thanks for tuning in. Hi, Maggie. Hi, Madi. Cool. All right, so it looks like you can see me and you can hear me, so that's great. We already know Madi's from Algeria, so cool. Thanks for tuning in. Where are the other people watching from? Please leave a comment. Let me know where you're tuning in from. Oh, Maggie's watching from the Philippines. Cool. Awesome. Cool. I am in South Korea. If you have tuned in before, you know that I am in South Korea. I mention it every time, but we also get a lot of new viewers, so I always kind of repeat the same spiel in the beginning. So my name is Linda. I'm from ITTT, and I have been living in South Korea for 5.5 years. Hi, Irma. Thanks for tuning in again. Oh, I'm sorry. Irma, hi. Cool. And hi, Mile High City. Okay. Chibi, returning from Beijing. Cool. Claudia from Brazil. Also, Olive watching from the Philippines. This is awesome. Cool. Thanks so much for tuning in. So I am about an hour and a half south of Seoul in a city called Cheongju. It's kind of in the center of South Korea. We are the only province that doesn't border the ocean, but it's really great, and it's actually snowing right now, so it's really cool. Yeah. All right, we have, oh my gosh, I hope I pronounced the name right. Ulubek from Uzbekistan. Cool. Hi. Patty, I think you watched before, Patty, right? I recognized your picture and your name from Mexico. Thanks for watching again. And Nur Mayani from Indonesia. Cool. Rudy from Puerto Rico. Awesome. I love your profile picture with the flag. That's awesome. Cool. Yeah. Thanks so much for tuning in. That's really great. Hello from the outside. Hello from the outside. Hello from the inside. From the other side. Cool. So, all right. Another one. Juliana from Brazil. Zach from Florida. This is cool. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm excited to be here today. Yeah, as you probably already know what the topic is going to be about today, the best countries for teaching English in 2021, because teaching English abroad is not dead. It's still pretty much going on. The demand is still high despite the whole global situation. And so that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. And yeah, I've done a lot of research, asked a lot of people who are currently teaching abroad, and also from my own experience in South Korea, what are some great countries for teaching English in 2021? Which countries are hiring? Which countries, what are the requirements currently? Because some countries have some extra requirements regarding the pandemic and things like that. So that's what we're going to cover today. And then at the end, or as always, feel free to throw your questions at me during the live. And also at the end, there will be a Q&A part, so you can, think about your questions until the end or throw them my way whenever you feel like it. So that's how it usually goes. And like I said, we always do these lives. I do them on Fridays or Thursday, depending on where you're watching from. For me, it's Friday, 10 a.m. in South Korea. And my colleague, Lisa, she does them on Tuesdays. And she is from Russia, and she's a non-native English speaking ESL teacher. So that's also really interesting to get sort of that perspective from someone who is not a native speaker, but she has an incredible ESL career. She's doing so many things. She knows a lot about, how to get your teaching career started as a non-native English speaker. So if that is interesting to you, I highly recommend tuning in on Tuesdays as well. And don't forget to like and subscribe. So like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel, depending on where you're watching from, because we are live on Facebook and we're also live on YouTube at the same time right now. So some people watching from YouTube, some people from Facebook. But if you hit that like button or the subscribe button, you don't miss any of the future lives. So that's really important if you want to keep watching them. And so let's get right into it. And also, I have a special Christmas gift for all of you today, which is a special offer at the end of the session. I will be sharing a special gift for all of you today. Awesome. Cool. Let me check in with the comments. All right. We have Haroon from Pakistan. Cool. Hi. Maria, Argentina. Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Zach says, exactly. I completely agree. Just a format change, but still there's a high demand for teachers. Exactly. And a lot of people think like, oh, because of all the travel restrictions and everything else going on, you can't really go abroad to teach right now. But it's actually not the case. So you can still go abroad. That's what we're going to talk about today. All right. Okay. Karki says, hello from Nepal. Okay. How are we from the poorest country like Nepal can join the course? Yeah, there's a lot of options, there's a lot of different options. I'm going to talk about that at the end, so keep watching. But, our courses are for all budgets, and we also help people out who might have difficulties in, getting the funds for the courses. So, yeah, there's definitely help. Okay, and Zach says, I want the gift, but what's the catch? No catch. There's no catch, Zach. There's no catch. Just stay tuned until the end. You'll find out. Cool. All right. Maria says, hello, Linda. I did the TESOL course with ITTT. Awesome. Cool. Which course did you take? Let me know. And Aide? Is that how you say your name? Aide, I'm sorry if I butcher it. Hello from Mexico. Hi. Okay, then let's jump in. The best countries for teaching English in 2021. And I prepared a little bit of a visual for you. I always really like to use them. If you've seen my lives before, you know how it works. So, yep, the best countries for teaching abroad in 2021. Of course, disclaimer, this is based on my personal research and opinion. Things do change all the time. I think everybody's aware of that now. Things can change very, very quickly from one day to the next. So always, stay up to date, do your own research. And I highly recommend, reading a lot of blogs of people who are currently teaching abroad. And also there's a lot of Facebook groups. There's like ESL teachers in China, ESL teachers in Latin America, and all these different groups. So they're really, really great resources to get accurate and most recent information. And that's also where I reached out to people and gathered my information from. So I am trying my best to provide you with, the most up-to-date and firsthand experience information from people who are currently teaching in those countries. Okay. First, I already mentioned a little bit about myself, but yeah, I also, besides ITTT, I am a travel writer and also a content creator under Linda Goes East. So you can find my own website at lindagoeseast.com, and you can find me on social media at Linda Goes East. I am from Germany/USA, so I was born and raised in Germany. My mom is German and my dad is American. And I finished part of my education in the US. And since 2015, I am based in South Korea. And yeah, I am also a TEFL and TESOL marketing professional, TEFL expert at ITTT, and you can find ITTT at TEFLcourse.net and on Instagram at International TEFL Training. Check that out. We're still looking for some more followers on Instagram. It's sort of hard to grow Instagram right now, so it would be great if you could head over there, give us a follow. We are really trying hard to make that channel grow. And we are a leading TEFL and TESOL course provider worldwide. And yeah, I've seen some of you have already completed a course with ITTT, so that is great. And some of you are probably just interested in looking at the different options, and that's obviously also great. Yeah, moving on. First, a little bit about the demand for English language instruction. And if you've seen my lives before, you've probably seen this slide a couple of times. I really like to use it just to kind of get an idea of what the demand is really like. And nothing has really changed since it all started. There's still 2 billion people speaking and learning English worldwide. That's a huge, huge number, and is estimated to continue to grow in the next years. So that's really great. 300 million people are learning and speaking English in China alone. So China is the largest market for teaching English abroad. And the Chinese government has started back in 2015 to, introduce different initiatives to get more English teachers to come to China to teach in all parts of the country. Not only Beijing, Shanghai, the big cities, but also in smaller cities all across the country. So the demand in China is really, really big. Then I would like to mention here these different programs that there are. There are a lot of government-funded programs in many different countries that aim at attracting foreign English teachers to come to their countries to teach. And those are usually really great ways to get into teaching. So some of the best-known programs for that are the EPIC program in South Korea, the JET program in Japan, the TEPIF program in France, and the NET scheme in Hong Kong. But there's also many, many more, many others. And countries are continuously coming out with their own programs for attracting English teachers to their countries. So that's really cool. If there's anybody watching that maybe took part in one of those programs, EPIC, JET, TEPIF, NET, or any other of those teaching programs, I'd be really interested to know. You could leave a comment and tell us which program you were in and what country and how your experience was. I think that's always really interesting. Yeah, and then also really interesting to know is that 50% of teachers teaching abroad, they do stay a second year. So that's sort of great to know for people who want to go abroad. So if 50%, if half of the teachers stay, then it means, they love it, they like it, they don't want to go back home. And it also means that it creates a huge turnover each year, which is basically like a revolving door of job openings for all of you who want to go abroad and teach English. So every year, 50% of the jobs are opening up again. So there's always opportunities out there for teaching English. And yeah, you're right. TEPIF sounds really cool. Yeah, so TEPIF is the program in France. We do have it on our FAQ page, more information. So if you go to teflcourse.net/FAQ, and then you look for TEPIF, you can find more information there, or you just head to Google and go to the TEPIF, to the official TEPIF page. You can also find all the information there. Yeah. There's also the Cultural Ambassadors Program in Spain. There's a program, I believe, in the Czech Republic, in Hungary, in many, many countries. They have a lot of these programs. There's another one in South Korea called the Talk Program. So there's a lot of options there, and it's great because, especially for first-time teachers, they really get support, in the program, because those people working for the programs, they do this every year, so they know how it all works, and they are really there for you and guide you. So it's great for first-time teachers to get into a program like this. But also, depending on the program, they are competitive. So you do want to look at the requirements and then maybe get additional, certifications, do some volunteering, get some experience, and then you can definitely get in. Cool. Oh, yeah, you did, Maria. Cool. Yeah, you did write a blog post about Argentina for our blog. Yeah, I remember that. We were in contact. Great. Cool. Yeah, our ITTT blog is also a great resource. Like Maria or some other of our graduates, they do write blog posts for us. And we have a lot of content about, recently we published some posts about a Australian girl teaching under the JET program in Japan. So that's really, really interesting. You should check that out. It's also teflcourse.net/blog. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you've been trying to get into talk. Okay. But because of COVID. So what was that like? They just stopped. They didn't hire as many people for the talk program because of COVID, or what was the reason? I'd be really interested to know. Because I have a friend and she works for the EPIC program and she was still able to get here. But that was August. So I don't know when you were trying to come. Hi, Thare. Cool. Thare watching from Philippines. We have a lot of people from the Philippines. That's awesome. Thanks so much. Okay. Then that was sort of the introduction. Now I would like to start talking about specific countries for teaching abroad in 2021. And we have an answer from Chibi. Just wanted to say that. Yep, they drastically cut how many they were taking. Yeah, that can happen. I'm sorry to hear that. But the things are looking up in South Korea as well. So you should try for the next intake, for sure. Okay, so first up we have, surprise, surprise, China. Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, China is the biggest market for teaching English abroad. Yeah, no wonder it still is in this list as well. And I do want to say I ordered these countries alphabetically, so there's no particular order, just alphabetically. So why should you go to China? Besides, it is an amazing country. I also taught English in China. I lived in China a total of a year and a half. I absolutely loved it. Yeah, it's a beautiful country, lots of different scenery, lots of different places to see in one big country. It's really easy to travel around by train, high-speed train or domestic flights. It's really great. So you have everything. You have the mountains, you have the beach, you have forests, you have deserts. I mean, it's really great. But they also have a lot of attractive benefits for teachers, such as free accommodation, paid airfare, and an end of contract bonus for many teachers. The salaries are also not that bad, between $1,000 and $2,500 US. And especially considering the local cost of living, this salary really goes a long way, and you're able to save a lot from your paycheck as well. And the opportunities for most teachers in China are at public schools, kindergartens, boarding schools, universities, and international schools. The requirements generally are a bachelor's degree, 2 years of teaching experience, and a TEFL certificate of at least 120 hours. And I have a question about this here. Does our nationality affect our chances of working in China? So China is still one of the countries that don't have this policy that they only hire native speakers. So you can still find positions if you are not from an English-speaking country. Especially in smaller cities. So I feel like cities like Beijing and Shanghai, like the super competitive ones, they might only hire native English speakers, but also not only. So you can definitely still find positions in China, even if you're not from an English-speaking country. And yeah, some COVID-19 info, and maybe Chibi knows a little bit more about that, so maybe you can also leave a comment. But basically, there is a 14-day quarantine, and you also need a PU letter, so that's kind of a new thing since it all started with COVID. That's sort of an invitation letter that you need to get, and that's typically what your employer would get for you. But so that's a new document that you are allowed to enter, because basically tourist visas have been suspended. So tourism doesn't really happen in China right now, so they're not really letting people in on a tourist visa. So in order to get your work visa, you need this PU letter. Yeah. And that's about China. Yeah, definitely highly recommended. There's a lot of opportunities in China, and once you are in China, you can build your network and move on to even greater opportunities over there. So yeah. Let me take a sip of my coffee and maybe we get a comment. Anybody taught in China before? Is anybody thinking about going to China? I would love to know. And maybe Chibi, since you are you still in Beijing? It'd be interesting to see or hear some experiences. But yeah, I also have a lot of friends in China, and they say, it's pretty much back to normal life there. So you just have to go through quarantine and get this PU letter, but they are hiring, and the demand is really, really big. Okay. All right. So, okay. So you taught there for 2.5 years. Cool. And then you left in August. Okay. And that's when you wanted to come to Korea. Okay. Got it. Maybe it was because you came from China that they didn't let you in. Because I think they banned anyone coming from China that time in coming to South Korea. So nobody from China could enter, like who was in China. Okay. I lived in China as a child. Cool. Nice. I'm thinking of going back. Yeah, I mean, China is a great place. I really want to go back. I still have my 10-year visa, but I can't go right now. Oh, that wasn't it. Okay. They just cut the numbers of... Okay, got it. All right. I'm interested in teaching in China. Cool. What about the salary? Yeah, so here, just turning the comment back off. Salaries are usually between 1,000 and 2,500 US dollars. This always depends, on your background, your experience, your qualifications, and what type of school you work at. And like I said before, the local cost of living really, because it's so low, your salary will go a long way. All right. Oh, hi. Thanks for tuning in. I remember Jamila, right? Because I always said Jamila. Okay, could you post a website for the English course, please? The basic one. I see different Tesla courses. Oh, cool. So I think you mean TESOL courses, but Tesla is cool too. Yeah, so the basic one, sure. Let me get that link for you. 1 second. So that's basically the 120-hour course. That's sort of the basic one to get. And from there, you can build on with other qualifications, like additional qualifications, also from ITTT, and additional specializations, and so on. So I'm pasting the link right now to the 120-hour TEFL course for you. Okay. All right, this is a great question. How much Chinese would we have to know to teach English in China? So this is a question that we always get a lot. Do you need to have to know the language of the country that you want to go to and teach in? And the answer is no. You don't have to know the local language because you are going there as the English teacher. So when I came to Korea, or also before that, I taught in China. I did know Chinese because I studied Chinese in school. But it wasn't necessary in my job. Everyone at the school speaks English, and you're supposed to only speak English with your students. But yeah, it helps. Like Chibi says, yeah, it helps a lot. It helps a lot, like in your daily life, for you personally, for getting around, and maybe getting rapport with like your boss and stuff like that if you know a little bit of the local language. But it is not a requirement. And also in my school in Korea, they also they had like an English only policy, so you're only supposed to speak English in school and with your students. Okay, Leslie's asking, is there an ideal age employers look for in teachers or age range you should be in? For China or in general? So China has a retirement age. I believe it's 60. So if you're over 60 and you want to go to China, it might be problematic. And it also kind of depends on, the individual school, the employer. Basically, there's this thing where for younger teachers, they kind of prefer for younger students, like kindergarten, they prefer like younger teachers because they think they're more energetic, they have more energy to handle the little kids. And then for older students or adult students, they would prefer older teachers. But this really depends on, the individual school and your experience and all this stuff. So, okay. Hi, Leighton has a question. Do they accept people of non-native teachers who have sufficient skills? Yes, I just mentioned that a few minutes ago. They do in China. They do hire people from anywhere. There's no particular law or rule about that. So if you have your TEFL, if you have a bit of experience perhaps, if you have maybe an English proficiency certificate, then you can definitely get hired. And I highly recommend you tune in on Tuesday, Leighton, for my colleague Lisa's live. She's a non-native English speaker, and she has taught in China, and she's teaching online, and she knows a lot about that, and I think this would be really interesting to you. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So China, and then we have Colombia, so other part of the world. Colombia. Yeah, Colombia is one of those places that are considered emerging markets in the EFL field. There's a huge demand for qualified English teachers nowadays in Colombia. Most of the jobs for teachers can be found in private schools, or private schools, they typically pay the best. And then you also get extra benefits such as housing, stipend, and health insurance. So that's really great there. Salaries, as it is in Latin America, the salaries are not the highest, but also the cost of living is not the highest there. So in Colombia, the salaries range between $700 and $1,000 per month. And what a lot of teachers do, they take on private tutoring students, to private tutor to sort of top up their salaries. So that's what a lot of people do there. For Colombia, you do need to be a native English speaker, and you need to have a college degree and a TEFL certificate. And there's also no quarantine required anymore. But again, things change all the time, so it might change again. So just check that information before you go, obviously. Yeah. But anybody taught in Colombia before? I don't think. I think we have a lot of people like based in Asia. But yeah, Colombia is a good option if you're interested in Latin America. The demand is very high. I'm just waiting if somebody's, because there is a 20-second lack or a gap between me talking and then you seeing it live or on Facebook. So I don't want to jump too quickly if we get any questions or comments about it. But I think it looks like we're good. Okay. Also, how cool is this place? I don't know where it is, the picture. It is Colombia, but I don't know which place in Colombia. It looks amazing. If anyone has been there, let me know. Beautiful. I sadly have not been yet. Okay, then I'm moving on. I think we're not getting any comments about this one now. Okay, then Germany. Oh, okay, let me go back to Colombia then. Now there are some comments coming in. Sorry. Okay, Beta says, does an associate degree count as a college degree or do you mean a BA? Yeah, sorry, a bachelor's. So most of these are four-year degrees. There is a talk program in Korea where you can do this one after 2 years, so after an associate degree. Yeah, usually when I say college degree, I mean bachelor's degree. Sorry. Gwendolyn, how does the salary compare to the cost of living in Colombia? Yeah, so the cost of living in Colombia is very low. So you will definitely be able to save a bit. However, there are no extra benefits there. So you would have to pay for your own housing and things like that. So it can be a bit rough. So that's why a lot of people a lot of teachers there, do top up their salary with the extra teaching, extra tutoring that they do, and things like that. Okay. Yeah. I'm trying my best. Thanks so much for answering so many questions. I'm trying my best. I have 2 laptops here. So on one laptop are the slides, and then on this laptop is like for the comments and the camera and stuff. So sometimes it can be a little hard and difficult to, manage everything, but I'm trying my best. I don't want to, leave anybody out. So great. Okay, now Germany. And I did a live 2 or 3 weeks before, or 2 or 3 weeks ago with someone at ITTT grad, and she's currently in Germany. So if you're interested in, moving to Germany, teaching there, you should check out that live. It's with Life of Brittany. You can find it on our YouTube or on our Facebook page, and you can watch that. It's really interesting. Yeah, so Germany is on the list. It was on many different lists for 2021, so I included it here, even though Europe is a little problematic right now. But yeah, why go to Germany? You can find jobs in a variety of settings, so they can be freelance, part-time, or even full-time. Yeah, in a wide variety of settings. So I am from Germany. I was born and raised there, and I went to special language schools and stuff, and we did have ESL teachers there, and so they were from, I had American teachers, British teachers, Irish, I also think New Zealand, Australia, really from anywhere. So there's definitely a market there. Most positions, are in large cities such as Frankfurt, very international, Munich, Berlin, Hamburg, cities like that. And yeah, salaries, they vary greatly. So that's one thing. There's no specific number I can tell you there, because some jobs are freelance, some are part-time, full-time. It also depends on, do you work for a company? Do you work for a school? So things like that. The requirements are also kind of strict, so that's why it's difficult. It can be difficult to get there. So a lot of companies, they do prefer German language skills, even if it's just basic language skills, also a bachelor's degree, a TEFL certificate. Then some only hire people with a EU passport, because they just don't want to deal with the lengthy visa process for people from other countries. But Australians, New Zealanders, and Canadians, they can apply for a working holiday visa. So that's a great option. About COVID, so you do have to self-isolate for 10 days if you are arriving from a specific country. So, excuse me. So there is a list of countries that are considered like risk countries. And if you arrive from one of those countries, then you need to self-isolate for 10 days. So that's what it's like right now. But as I said, it's changing all the time. So be sure to, check up on that. All right, let me take this question again from Lighton. Which countries take teachers from the non-native CELTA qualified? Okay, so which countries take non-native English speakers with a CELTA? A lot of countries, and I recommend, because this presentation is kind of about something different now, and also things change all the time, I'm pasting this link here to our FAQ page, and you can find an article about exactly your question there. So look out for that. And like I said, tune in on Tuesdays for my friend Lisa, or my friend and coworker Lisa, who is a non-native English speaker, and she knows a lot about this stuff as well. So I recommend that. All right. So can teachers from Asian countries apply for a job in Germany? Generally, yes. And there are schools and companies who will sponsor visas, but it is not the norm. So it might be difficult. Yeah. But if you have all the other qualifications, German language skills, bachelor's degree, a TEFL certificate, and they really want to hire you, they like your teaching, then definitely it's possible. So, if you see a job offer, and that's, goes for everyone and every job offer, even if you don't fulfill all the requirements stated on the job offer, still apply, because you never know. Some job offers just have ridiculous requirements that there's no person like that maybe. And so they know that too, the companies and the schools. So if you fulfill like 80% of the requirements, then, you still might get the job. So you never know. Okay. Moving on to Japan. Yeah, Japan is also a very, very big country for English teaching. I have many friends who have taught in Japan, who are thinking about teaching in Japan, who are in Japan. And like I said, we recently published some blog posts from an ITTT grad who is currently teaching in Japan. So check that out on our blog. Japan also has attractive benefits, paid airfare, housing, health insurance, and a contract completion bonus, similar to China and Korea, and some of the highest salaries to be found anywhere in Asia. So that's usually between $2,000 and $6,000 US. So depending on what kind of school you work at, you can make a lot of money in Japan. And there's the JET program. So that's a teaching program, like I mentioned at the beginning, that places foreign English teachers into public schools in Japan. It's a really popular program, very well established, one of the oldest teaching programs out there. And it's really, really great. So that's a great way to get to Japan. I believe you cannot choose where you want to teach. So if you apply for the JET program, and that's usually kind of how those programs go, you can't like choose where you want to teach. Some might allow like a preference, like, my preference is Kyoto or Tokyo, but it doesn't mean that you can pick and choose and end up there. But you might, because they are competitive. And yeah, a lot of people do want to go to Tokyo and those, big cities. So, but you might end up in a more rural town. Then the requirements are usually you need to have a degree, and again, it's a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree in any subject. So it doesn't have to be English, it doesn't have to be TEFL or TESOL or education or things like that. It can be any major. You need to be fluent in the English language. So also, it doesn't say you need to be a native English speaker. It doesn't say you need to be from an English-speaking country. It says you need to be fluent in the English language. So that's a great opportunity for people from everywhere. And you need to have a strong desire and willingness to pass on your language knowledge to your students. That's usually what they say, especially the JET program. That's like their mission. Okay. Then in some COVID info about Japan, they also have a 14-day quarantine, and the quarantine costs are mostly free. So they're either paid for by the school, by the employer, or you might work out a deal like 50-50 when it comes to the costs, etc. Okay. Irma asks, is there a big chance that an individual with no teaching experience but with a degree and TEFL TEFL certificate can be hired in any country? Yeah, so actually I would say the majority of TEFL, TESOL, ESL teachers going abroad, they don't have any teaching experience. A lot of them are fresh out of college, and so they get hired. I didn't have any teaching experience. I was hired. Most of the people that I know had no prior experience per se, so it's definitely possible, for sure. You probably get a higher salary. Like when I first taught in China and then I came to Korea and I had experience from teaching experience from teaching in China, I did get a higher salary in Korea. So that was nice. But I still worked with a lot of people there in the school that had no prior experience. So yeah, definitely. So experience is usually, in some countries it is required, but typically it's just a bonus, something that sets you apart and something that can get you a higher salary. Okay. Let's see what's next. Mexico. Yeah, I see a lot of my American friends are actually in Mexico. Some are teaching there. I also know a girl, she's sort of a digital nomad. She's there. So Mexico is really great, especially for people from the US because it's so close to the US, not too far away, but still, a whole different vibe, obviously. And how gorgeous is this pyramid? I've always wanted to go there. It's so cool. Yeah, so why go to Mexico? Most teaching jobs, they don't include healthcare, but your FM3 visa, and that's the visa that you will need, that's the work visa there, will give you access to the national healthcare system. So that's really great. And some schools will also cover your $290 visa fee requirement. Apart from that, there's not much benefits going on in Mexico. TEFL jobs in Mexico, also they range from public and private schools to offering private English lessons, to teaching business English to employees of Mexican companies. So business English is very big in Mexico because of the close relations with the US. They have a lot of business English opportunities. So if that's something that you're interested in, I highly recommend looking into Mexico. Because in Asia, you can still find business English opportunities, but it's mostly targeted at children. So that can be anything from kindergarten to elementary, middle school, high school, university. I've also taught business English at companies in South Korea, but those were not full-time things. Those were like part-time, seasonal kind of things, but you can still find them. The salaries in Mexico, they range between $210 and $1,070 per month. So this is a huge gap, obviously. So it really depends, what kind of company you work for, your experience, this is what is for every job usually. So how your qualifications, your experience, your background, all things like that play a role. But also consider the lower cost of living in Mexico. Then the COVID info. So travelers are allowed to enter Mexico without any quarantine restrictions. When you enter the country, the officials posted at the airport terminals will monitor your health along with a regular temperature screening. So you don't have to go into quarantine right now. I think you had to before, but then they changed it back. So yeah, this is really great news. Requirements are typically a 4-year degree or be a native English speaker. So it doesn't say anything about nationality because Gwendolyn asked, is it harder to work in Mexico as an Asian national? So the requirements say a 4-year degree or be a native English speaker. So it doesn't really say anything about nationality. So you are definitely welcome to apply. And yeah. And a TEFL certificate is also required, usually. And Gwendolyn has another question. Do we need the business English certificate to teach business English? No, you don't need it to teach business English. But if you have never taught business English before, it's definitely helpful. And, you know, it's also just an additional qualification to have in your portfolio to sort of stand out, to, you know, have better chances among the competition. So those kinds of things. So that's why I definitely recommend it. I also did the business English course, and I found it to be really helpful, actually, for sure. Okay. Next up, South Korea. Yeah, and I'm smiling because I am in South Korea. But yeah, South Korea continues to be a great destination for teaching English abroad. Also in 2021, there are also a lot of attractive benefits in South Korea, like paid airfare, paid housing, the pension scheme, which you basically pay into the national pension scheme. And then when you leave Korea, you get all of that money back. So depending on how long you stay, it's a couple of $1,000s that you then get in addition to your end of contract bonuses and all of that. So that's really nice. South Korea also has some of the highest salaries to be found anywhere in Asia, between 1,600 to 2,400 US dollars. And there's, like we said earlier, the EPIC and the TALK program. So again, those are two government-funded programs that place teachers into public schools in South Korea. The requirements are usually a bachelor's degree in any subject. So again, it doesn't have to be education. It doesn't have to be in English. My bachelor's degree was in management, business management, and I was still hired a TEFL certificate. But for South Korea, you need to be a passport holder of certain English-speaking countries. So to get this E2, that's the E2 teaching visa, you need to be from either Canada, the US, the UK, Ireland, South Africa, Australia, or New Zealand. So those 7. However, there are workarounds. So if you're not from one of those countries, there are certain workarounds. South Korea also has a work and travel visa for many countries. There's also creator visas you could get. And there's other options for long-term visas, or if you were a student here, and you graduate, things like that. So there's different kinds of options. All right, and COVID, forgot the COVID-19 info about Korea. It's also a 14-day quarantine that everybody has to go into, and the quarantine costs are also mostly free. So typically how it works, because you get paid housing, so your housing is already lined up before you come, and you have a permanent visa when you enter. So people who have a permanent long-term visa, they can quarantine at home. And since you already have a house lined up, you can quarantine there instead of at a hospital or a government facility, and then it doesn't cost you anything. And you also get like a little, depending on where you teach, in what province or city, you get like a COVID starter pack thing with like food in it and masks and necessities when you first arrive. And I know a couple of people who have gone through that. Of course, it's really hard, 2 weeks in quarantine. I mean, it's hard anywhere, but imagine you're like new in this new country that you've always wanted to go to, and you have to sit in your apartment for 2 weeks and you can't go out. I don't know. I just thought it's really horrible. But yeah, you go through it. You have this little starter pack, and yeah, then you start teaching. And so, yeah, it's really good. Let me go back to some questions. Okay, Musaware asked when China will start issuing visa and what are the latest news to go to China. I just talked about that in the beginning, so you could rewatch that part. But basically, China is issuing visas for teachers. Right now, you just need an additional document called a PU letter, which is an invitation letter, and usually your company or the school, they will get that for you. Okay. Okay, Kenny asks, how do countries hire teachers for international teacher job in COVID situation? By video calling, Zoom meeting, or video conferencing? This was also the case before COVID. A lot of countries hire in advance from when you are still in your own country, and then it usually goes like a Skype interview. So that's not really new or because of COVID. That's been going on before as well. So you do a Skype interview, and sometimes you also have to teach a mock lesson. So they would give you a topic. You have to teach this and this and this. Prepare a 20-minute mock lesson and teach it. So that's also, or sometimes you need to record it and send it to them, things like that. Yeah. Okay, then we have a question from Madi. Is it the teacher who chooses the course book and what to be taught, or is it the school's responsibility? So this depends on the school. The schools that I worked at, so in China, it was more like the school that I worked at there, they did have course books, but you could also, create your own lesson plans and your own activities and stuff. And at the school that I worked for in South Korea, they provided everything. They had a very outlined curriculum at that school because it was a national chain. So the idea is that all of those schools do the same thing every week, basically, and it needs to be in line with all the other schools in the country. So we knew exactly what we had to do and when and what page and which worksheet, etc. So it depends. Some schools, they want their teachers to create their materials and the curriculums and stuff like that. And other schools, they give you everything. So it depends. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Thailand. Yeah, Thailand. Why go? I think the picture already speaks for itself. Yeah, I really want to go there. Also, most teachers in Thailand, they work at government schools or in private language academies. Most positions are also found in the bigger cities, as it usually is, in Bangkok, in Chiang Mai in the north, or in Phuket in the south. And the salaries in Thailand usually range between 800 to 1,000 US dollars per month. Again, consider the low cost of living in Thailand compared to the West, and your salary will actually go a long way. The requirements for teachers coming to Thailand is typically having a 4-year degree in any subject. Again, it doesn't have to be in English, it doesn't have to be in education, etc. And they usually want a TEFL training course of at least 100 hours. So our 120-hour course is the best pick for that. COVID info, so they either have a 10 or 14-day quarantine. So I think it was 14 before, and now they turned it down to 10, or they're thinking about turning it down to 10, or it depends on the person. I'm not quite sure, so check that out. And the quarantine costs are not always free, so usually you would have to pay for it. You would have to quarantine and cover the costs. Or you can work out a deal with your school and your employer. Oh, Irma, cool. Thailand is my first pick. Awesome. Yeah. It's It's awesome. There's a lot of opportunities there. We at ITTT, we get a lot of job offers for Thailand. You can check our job section. There's a lot of Thailand offers. Cool. All right. Then Kenny asks, my friend has Indian nationality. They planning to move to Singapore. He's looking for a teacher job in Singapore. What kind of degree is required and laws? Okay. I don't have Singapore in this presentation right now, but I actually heard from somebody from Singapore that they are hiring, but it is harder to get a work visa in Singapore right now. So I'm not quite sure. I would recommend that your friend reaches out to the local embassy or consulate of Singapore to make sure he gets the most up-to-date information. Because from what I've heard, it is getting harder and the country is pretty much still isolated. I don't think anybody can really leave and enter at the moment. And like I said, it's harder to get this work visa right now in Singapore. Okay. Chibi says, Thailand can allow associates too. Okay, cool. My friend had an associate's in English. She's been teaching there for over 3 years. Okay, so maybe because she had an associate's in English, because the bachelor's degree is in any subject. So perhaps it's because she had an associate's degree, but it was specifically in English. And it also probably depends on where it is. So if it's I don't know if it's like one of those big cities, Bangkok, Chiang Mai, or Phuket, or if it's like some other maybe smaller town, then probably they would maybe tune their requirements down a bit. Not quite sure. That's interesting. That's great to know. Cool. Okay. Sorry, just looking at the comments. There's a couple more about Thailand. Okay. All right. So does Thailand only accept a degree connected to teaching? No. So you can have a degree in any subject, a 4-year degree in any subject. But like Chibi just said that her friend is teaching in Thailand and she has an associate's degree, so that's 2 years. But that associate's degree was in English. So what I'm thinking is that her friend got the job because she has an associate's in English. But the 4-year bachelor's degree can be in any subject. It doesn't have to be English or education or teaching. So I hope that answers the question. Keshab asks, do all countries need TEFL training? So there are a lot of countries where a TEFL certificate is not a requirement. But it is sort of getting to a level where a TEFL certificate is becoming a standard. And everyone who doesn't have one will stand out or, lack something. So we always definitely recommend getting a TEFL. And most of my friends who are teachers abroad, they have a TEFL, or they started out teaching and then, the laws changed or the regulations, environment just changed, and then they got a TEFL certificate later. So yeah. Okay. Antonio asks, hi, I've just arrived here. Hi, thanks for joining. Is it mandatory to have a college degree to teach as a TEFL? So in many countries, it is required to have a 4-year degree to teach. Yes, in many countries. But there are still countries where it's not a requirement. And for that, I recommend checking out our FAQ page, because there's a list of countries, and I'm pasting the link right now into the comment box. You can check it out, teflcourse.net/FAQ. And there you'll find information about which countries hire teachers without a degree, because it is also possible. Okay. Oh, hi, Tiara. Hi, good to see you. What other countries are you going to talk about? Wow. Let's see. I think there's only one more left, actually, because it's alphabetically. We're already at T, or 2, actually. Wait, 2. Okay. Yeah, next, United Arab Emirates. So another part of the world, different. We're traveling all around the world today. So why go to the United Arab Emirates? Because it's a really interesting place. And 90% of the population there is comprised of expatriates from all over the world. So I think that's really interesting. I would love to also teach there for like a year or so. It'd be really cool. Seems like a very inter or multicultural environment. And I think that's what attracts a lot of people there. And also, it has a lot of attractive benefits, like paid airfares, the furnished apartments, health insurance, and a contract completion bonus, like a lot of the Asian countries that I've mentioned. And also, actually, the Middle East has the highest EFL salaries anywhere. So you can make between 2,500 and 5,500 US dollars per month. And that is tax-free. So that's a huge incentive for many people to go to this region to teach. The requirements are typically a little bit strict. So a bachelor's degree, also in any subject, but it's definitely preferred if it's in English or education, TESOL, etc. A TEFL certification of at least 100 hours, and they usually also want previous teaching experience. So this would be a great region or country to go to after you've already taught somewhere, and then sort of as a next step, if you're looking to go to a new exciting place and make a lot of money. Some COVID-19 info. So to enter the UAE, you must present a negative result of the PCR test, so the COVID test. If your test result is positive, you must stay in isolation for 14 days. But if your test is negative, you don't have to go into quarantine. So that's also really good. Yeah. Tiana says it's too hot. Yeah, I think it can be quite hot. But there's also really nice beaches. So I think it's really nice. I missed South Korea. Yeah, you just missed it, but you can just rewatch it. It's well, it's alphabetically, so just where you can figure it out in the timing. I recommend you watching it. All right, Taylor says non-natives can also apply, or is it just for native speakers? Yeah, so being a native speaker is not a requirement in the United Arab Emirates. They look for your qualifications, your degree, certifications, and if you are a non-native English speaker, you know, they probably want a English proficiency certificate, so like a Cambridge certificate or an IELTS or things like that. So that's what I would recommend to get. Okay. Then we have Vietnam. And this is the last country we're going to talk about today. Why go? So most teachers in Vietnam are employed by private language schools. They don't really do public, they don't really hire in public schools. And most positions can be found in Ho Chi Minh City and in Hanoi. Again, in the biggest cities of the country. Salaries, also not quite bad, between 1,200 and 2,000 US dollars per month. Also, again, low cost of living means the salaries will go a long way. Usually for Vietnam, you need to be a native English speaker, you need to have a bachelor's degree, and many employers will also insist on a TEFL or TESOL certificate of at least 120 hours duration. So that's what that looks like. I know a couple of people who are currently in Vietnam, and yeah, they also told me there is a 14-day quarantine, and the quarantine costs are also not always free. I spoke to some teachers where the school covered the quarantine fees, and some who had to pay for it themselves. But it also wasn't that expensive, so it's definitely doable. Or actually, some teachers told me that in Vietnam, they worked out a deal where the quarantine costs would be taken from your first salary, something like that. So then your first salary would be a little lower, and they kind of work it out that way. But they're definitely still hiring in Vietnam, and demand is also really high. Yeah, Chibi says, yay, Vietnam. Oh, looks like you're interested in a lot of places. Cool. How can you decide? I mean, they're all so awesome. Totally get it. Tiana says, this one is on my list too. Cool. Yeah, Vietnam is really popular, and I know a lot of people there, and they love it. They love it. There's also so much to see and do. I mean, this one is in Hoi An, which is also beautiful, a beautiful place. Hit also very hard. They had some typhoons, I believe, or like some, not typhoons, floodings in Hoi An. And also because of COVID and the tourism, that pretty much, I think nobody still can't really enter Vietnam on a tourist visa. So this city in particular has been hit very hard recently, and such a beautiful place. Such a shame. Okay. Irma asks, how about non-native English speakers? Is there any possibility to be hired in Vietnam? Yeah. I do believe so, even though the requirements do say be a native English speaker. But again, if your certifications are, on top, you have your degree, maybe you even have a degree in education and teaching, you have your TEFL, maybe you have more than 120 hours, maybe you have teaching experience, then you can still find a position in Vietnam for sure. Yeah. Okay. So this was the last one. Yeah, now I would like to know, where do you want to teach? Is there any country I didn't mention where you would like to teach? A lot of people want to go to China, Korea, Vietnam, Japan. I was thinking about doing a live about like teaching in Asia in particular, specifically in Asia. Is that something you would be interested in? I was also planning on doing a live specifically about teaching in Korea. If that's interesting to you, let me know. Also, anything else you would like to see in our live? We're always looking for new ideas, Chibi says Taiwan too. Yes, I also heard Taiwan is really good right now. I just didn't want to mention too many Asian countries. I just wanted to get a little bit of a variety, but Taiwan is definitely also a great place right now. Also, Tiana says, my top 2 is South Korea and Japan. Cool. Yeah. Those are usually the 2 that people have a hard time choosing between. I get this question quite a lot. Should I go to South Korea or Japan or China? Like those 3 are kind of usually the problem. Gwendolyn says, yes, I tune in for a Teaching in Asia video. I'm currently living in Malaysia. Cool. Okay. That's cool. I don't know too much about Malaysia, but maybe you could let me know how the ESL market is in Malaysia, and we can kind of exchange some information and make something interesting. That'd be really cool, because we do sometimes get job offers in Malaysia. So I do think there is also demand, but it's not one of those big ones that you hear about all the time, like China and Vietnam and Thailand and Korea. But I really, really love to know. Okay, Irma says, I would probably teach in Thailand or Vietnam. Yeah. And they're like neighbors, right? They're next to each other. They have a border. You could easily, if you teach in Thailand, you can go to Vietnam. You can go to anywhere. Yeah, I would like to go there too. And like in a beach town. That'd be really nice. Yeah, dreaming. Germany is my first option. Cool. Nice. Yeah, Germany is great. It can be quite hard to get into there, but not impossible. So you might have to, really plan. I mean, the bureaucracy, I am from Germany, so the bureaucracy is crazy. So you might have to fill out a lot of paperwork, might take a long time, but eventually you might be able to get there. So I keep my fingers crossed for you. Okay. But definitely the countries that I'm learning the language for. So China, Korea, Japan, Thailand. So wait, are you learning Chinese, Korean, Japanese, and Thai? Is that what you're saying? That's cool. Wow, you're very talented. Chibi also says Cambodia seems cool. Yes, yeah. And Cambodia is also one of those emerging markets. Or actually, yeah, the demand is really, really big right now. Okay. Tiana says, I would like to know more about the food and culture in South Korea or the best cities in South Korea. Yeah, so if you're interested in that, I highly recommend checking out lindagoeseast.com. That's what I usually write about because I am in South Korea and I usually write about stuff like that on my personal blog. So if you're interested in that, yeah, go check that out. And I might prepare a live session about South Korea in particular, or Asia. All right, Gwendolyn says, most Malaysians in the cities speak at least basic English, but there's still a pretty big demand for English teachers, especially for children who move from the public to private or international school system. Great, cool, okay. Yeah, nice, okay. I'm gonna look more into Malaysia. And also, because somebody asked, how about India? I'm also gonna look more into India. What I hear about India is that a lot of the positions are like volunteering. So yeah, that'd be also maybe a good live about volunteer teaching, because that's also the case sort of like in Africa. There is a lot of demand and there are opportunities, but they're mostly volunteering. And I think most people, they just want to make some money, or like that's part of it. I mean, you need some money, right, to live and survive and travel. So, but yeah, volunteer teaching is also good topic, actually. Good information. Yeah, I hope so, you know, trying my best. Okay. All right, so now this is my Christmas gift to you, because this is my last live before Christmas, and that's why I'm trying to be a little bit festive today, you know, wearing red, having like a little bow in my hair. Yeah, just a little bit of a holiday spirit. But yeah, my gift to you is 30% off. So I am pasting the link into the comments. So you can click on that and apply for a course, or you save it, you know, if you're not quite sure which course to take, save this link, and when you're ready, you can apply through this link and get 30% off. And that's, yeah, that's a lot. That's the best deal out there. We usually never give out 30%. So this is something very special. All right. Oh, good question. One more from Tiana. How can someone get teaching experience before going international? So there's a couple of ways. One thing, you can just start tutoring people in your vicinity. So even if like it's a sibling or someone from your family or from your neighborhood, you could tutor. You could also, you know, if you're like active in a church community or some other kind of community, you could give some tutoring there. Then another option would be online teaching. You could, you know, take up some online lessons here and there and teach. There's so many different platforms out there, some that are also very flexible in terms of teaching hours. And I think my colleague Lisa, her live on Tuesday is about teaching online. So you could tune into that. So yeah, there's a couple of ways. Okay, Gwendolyn says, thank you so much. This was so informative. Thanks. Thanks also for the information about Malaysia. You know, we're trying our best, but we also obviously don't know everything, and things always change as well. And so I'm very grateful to also, you know, learn from you guys, because like you said, you live in Malaysia, so that's great to get firsthand experience from people who actually live there. So that's always nice. Maggie says, thank you very much for the valuable information. I'm considering Japan. Cool, yeah. And we actually, then you should read, check out our blog. We actually had a girl, her name is Maddie. It's funny, Maggie and Maddie. And she's teaching in Japan under the JET program. And she wrote a few articles on our blog. So that might be interesting to check out. Yeah, that's teflcourse.net/blog. It's, I think, the first one or the second one. It's like about JET program and teaching in Tokyo and stuff. So that's really cool. Yay. Chibi says, nice. Looks at business English course. Yeah, awesome. So that's one of the specializations that we do. And I always recommend the specializations. You know, they're not that many hours. They're really quick and easy to do. You know, they don't take forever, but they're very informative. You learn a lot. You can obviously save all the information from the course. You can always have it on hand. And they're just a great addition to your professional portfolio. So I highly recommend it. So cool. Okay. So I hope everybody got the link. It is in the comments. Save it for later or apply now, or, you know, whatever you want to do. And then again, this is how you can find ITTT online, on Facebook, if you're watching on Facebook, Twitter as well, and Instagram. Like I said, please, if you could take a minute, go to our Instagram, International TEFL Training, and give us a follow. We're trying very hard to grow this channel. You know, we're trying to reach 10K to be able to get the swipe up function, because I think it's going to help us a lot. So if you could take a moment and go to Instagram and just follow, that would be really awesome. And we also share a lot of great content on there as well. Might even do a live on Instagram one day. That's also on the list. And yeah, me, if you are interested in teaching English in South Korea and Asia in general, check this out, Linda Goes East on Instagram. Give it a follow, or lindagoeseast.com. That's my personal website where I write about all things Korea, China, traveling, teaching in Asia, all those kinds of things. So also Vietnam is on there, Thailand, a lot of countries in Asia. Last year I've been to Nepal and Bhutan. Very, very interesting. If that's something that interests you, check it out. I would highly appreciate it. And yeah, I think we're ending it here now. Thanks so much for watching. I see a couple of people that, you know, are turning into regulars. So I'm very, very happy about that, because, you know, that's always nice to see familiar faces, people who like what we're doing. And I think last time somebody said we are a big TEFL family. And yeah, I think that's really what it's turning into. And I love it. I think it's great. And yeah, if you have any questions, reach out to us at any time. Reach out to me personally. No problem. And don't forget the 30% off link. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any other lives. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. And what else? I think I'm forgetting something. Not quite sure what it was. But you can always rewatch these episodes after they have aired. So if you missed the beginning or whatever, you can rewatch it on Facebook and also on YouTube. And we also always turn our live events into podcasts. So you can take us with you on the go. And you can find all our episodes, podcast episodes, here on Buzzsprout, or, you know, on iTunes. If you look for ITTT or Google Podcasts or Spotify, places like that, you can find us there as well. And oops, I'm about to spill my coffee here. So I think I'm gonna sign off. I will be back after Christmas, so I won't see you again before Christmas. I wish you very, very calm and happy holidays wherever you are, however you're celebrating. I know this year it's very different for me as well. Yeah, I'll see you after Christmas. Don't forget to tune in on Tuesday to my coworker Lisa, who is a non-native English speaker and who talks a lot about that side and how you can have a successful career as a non-native English speaker. And I think on Tuesday she's talking about specifically about teaching online. So if that's something that interests you, tune in. And yeah, oh, you're so sweet. Have a great Christmas. Thank you, you too. Happy holidays, everyone. Thanks, Tiana. That's really great. All right, then thank you so much. And I'll see you guys after Christmas. Please tune in again. It was really nice. All right. Thank you, Olive. Have a Merry Christmas. All right. You too, everybody. Have happy holidays, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you. Don't forget the 30% off link in the comments, and don't forget to like us on Instagram. This is going to be your homework today. All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.